Good afternoon. That's my. I'm very happy that to be here today. This is the first time that I come to deliver the lecture in Kasetsat, not in Politics School of Kasetsat University. Even I graduated from here, but actually my duty I'm working as the Director of International Cooperation of the Royal Foreign Department. So my work is dealing with all the international cooperation across the world. Then my talk actually that will be delivered outside Thailand. Actually, this is the first time that I got a very good opportunity from Kazakhstan University to have a chance allow me to do the not the lecture, just to say to share experience. My background is for the politics school and for bachelor degree in wildlife management, and my master is in botany, and my PhD is in urban forestry. That I got my degree from UK. Then I've been working with the Royal Forest Department for more than 30 years now. Okay, this is the one that I'm going to talk to you about the integrated forest landscape management. But right now I'm dealing with many projects because I'm the evaluator of the project as well for the national organization, like Asia Pacific Forest Network in China and Asia Forest Corporation in Korea. Okay, so I would like to start with the very common in terms of the forestry. Then you have to know that we saw for the waiting for all the job to join, but it's okay. For the FAO, they got the definition during this that with the forested land mean the land is more than 0.5 hectares in total with the tree canopy cover more than 10%. So this one is just totally and normally applied to be the natural forest. That's why they say that they're not primarily under the agriculture. But right now, we discussing a lot with the FAO that how can we change the definition, because right now many of the forested area is no longer mentioned on the natural forest only. Like now, we refer to the area out of the forested area. We call the land outside forest. That will be coming. But just like you say, this is the definition coming from the international organization under the United Nations. Thinking about the for 0.5 hectares that in natural forest is quite common, and 10% for the forest cover. That's why we think about just 10% because we have think about different type of the forest land, especially the grassland or some of savanna that when the cloud cover is less than 10%, it's quite common to find. Okay, so you can see that how it changed from natural forest here in the forested land to the farmland. It means that sometimes the forest is 4% gone forever. And then, anyway, for the natural forest, that coming down to the tree plantation, so it means that the time of the forest cover is to maintain, but only to change in terms of the composition and structure of the forested area. The tree plantation, of course, is no change, but the one thing that we have to think about is that the biodiversity is gone. Maybe you just flow of the reforestation for the pure stand or a single species, maybe that you use some of the exotic. So we are quite aware of the how that we lost the biodiversity. We are not concerned about how that we can gain for the forest cover in terms of deforestation. But right now we have to think about that, how we can maintain the biodiversity. And natural forest, when we clear it, okay, of course it's gone. But if we do the regeneration in natural way, they have the many kinds of regeneration. For the enrichment planting, something like that, you put more species try to get the biodiversity back, or the planting with the Japanese style that we call Miyawaki. So you throw many kind of species inside and then you let it to be competitive by itself. So you get the natural structure back into the nature of the forested area. At the same time, that you can see that for the forested landscape, when we think about the landscape, it means that the landscape is quite a big area. Like if you just focus on your backyard, we could not say the landscape because that's very small. The landscape is the area that can be included with the variety of the land use, natural forest, secondary forest, timber plantation, farmland, degraded land. But right now, we also included for the urban or resident area into the forest landscape. Sometimes we call the forested area in the rural, the peri-urban area and urbanized zone or residential zone. We include that into some kind of the new paradigm of the forestry. We call the urban forestry. Okay, you will see that something like that. You can see that this is one that to show you in Bangkok. You see that for the city park within that area. So this one is not an landscape. When you do it, that you have the many kind of structural composition establishment. So this one that working closely with the Royal Forest Department and the Bangkok Metropolitan, we try that to encourage the Bangkok Metropolitan to plant more or variety of the trees. We're thinking about that how that we can serve for the livelihood of the people in terms of improvement of environmental, and at the same time we're thinking about the mental healing that they will get from the natural environment. Okay, this one I went to Kunming 2 months ago. On that time, the blossom is quite very beautiful. It's one of the things that we can be included in landscaping of the forested methodology. Okay, this one also that we try that to imitate the natural landscape into the small city park in Bangkok as well. This one is not far from here. So we can see that they call the private urban forest park. Like now, the forest park like this is not just only limited to be under authority of the government, but the private that they wanted to share and join for the establishment of the city park like this, they can do. Okay. So the backyard garden is another part of the landscape. Okay. Okay. This is one that we show you how the difference of the landscape in urban area, from the Germany, Malaysia, Taiwan, Hong Kong. So you can see that that's why that I'm talking about that right now. The regeneration for the integrated of the landscape of the forest will be not separated from the natural forest or the forested area, but we will put some area that for the people that still be living together. Okay. When we see that when the landscape is coming to be deteriorated like this one from Brazil and then from the South America, and you can see that when the landscape change, everything change. The people always say that, okay, let it go on and then we can rebuild it together. We can rebuild it later on. Impossible. You can get something back like a tree, but you couldn't get the same environment, same structure, same beneficial that coming from the forest back. No way. Okay, I will talk to it later on. Okay, for the landscape degradation, what the problem that can make it to be the deterioration of the forested area? You can see from here. Of course, the forest degradation is mean that the reduction of the capacity in providing the goods and service to the human depleted. Probably passive affecting various ecosystems from tropical rainforest to the boreal forest like now. Depleting is every taken for the forested area. The cause of the degradation, of course, that's coming from ecological, agricultural activation, mining infrastructure development, and the climate change. Even the climate change that right now they have a lot of study, but we could not say that this is the definitely impact to the forested area. They just only calculated and predicted this should be the impact to the forested area, but it's not really show in the case of this is the huge of the impact from the climate change. We have to wait for a lot longer time, maybe 50 years or 100 years until we can just definitely conclude that degradation is coming from the climate change. But right now, we just only point out that the degradation is coming from the activity of the human, mostly illegal cutting and the land use change. Okay. So the human activity, of course, that you can see is that the disruption of the climate system, pollution, biodiversity loss, change in the land use, and freshwater arable land is formed like that. That's mostly is coming from the human activity. So we could not find out that it's coming from the natural disaster like the climate change. But we are the scientists based, so we are just only to say that okay, it might be, but it's not definitely the causes from the climate change. I still not agree with the people that climate change is one of the cause of degradation because we have to wait until the research is saying that it's a definite thing. Then forest landscape management, what does it mean? Is that we focuses on the forested landscape and give the details that forest looking for ecological, social, environmental. So it says that for the landscape management, we are not right now looking at how that we can get the forested area back, but we're thinking about how that we can combine all the aspects like a cultural livelihood of the people or anything, wildlife conservation, landing, or anything. So it means that it's coming to be the new paradigm of the forest management. Right now, when we're doing about the forest management, we are not thinking about how we can get the log production from the forested areas, but we have to think about how we can direct and indirect benefit from the forested area. Okay. This is just to show you how the integrated landscape management, effective planning, ecosystem integration, component is just the rule of thumb. When you do the landscape management, you couldn't do that by yourself. You have to integrate a lot of people, party, activities, or aspects inside to manage as a whole. Because it just only focus on one of your climate area, but it's just a big landscape, maybe the whole watershed area or the big area for the regional. Okay. When we're thinking about the technical term of forest land storage, okay, right now FAR is coming to be the very popular term across the country in forestry sector. When people say about the forest landscape restoration, it means it's an ongoing process. Means that you are doing every day. Okay, it's not at the beginning or having the end. You have to it's a process. You have to run. You have to run it like doing like everyday life. Okay. The process that can enhance ecological function that human will be for degraded forest landscape. Okay. Forest landscape restoration is more than the forest planting. So we are not thinking of just only to plant trees, but we have to think about the whole landscape that to be the present and the future. It means that when you're doing the forest landscape restoration, you are going to do the like a fortune teller that what it will be look like in the future. Thinking about that, okay, when the tree going in leads into the failing cycle, so what there will be the direct and indirect benefit you will get from the process that to do forest landscape restoration, the new planting, management of natural regeneration, agroforestry, improve land management, accommodated of the mosaic of the land use, including agriculture, wildlife, protection, plantation, riverside planting. You can see that how big of the landscape restoration. So it means that you have to include many of variety of the land use and land utilization. It means that you have to include a lot of parties that into your work. So quality department is not enough. You have to contact them. Department of Irrigation, the community development, metropolitan, or anything that can help to manage as a whole. So this is to show you just largely for the idea. Okay. They have the principle for the forest landscape restoration. Okay, you have the first thing is that you have to focus on the landscape. Okay, across the entire landscape. So you have to understand what's the combination of the aspect of the land utilization within the area, and then you have to plan and to prove it that how that you will see for ecological, social, economic policies that can be balanced within this area. So this is just to use like an imagination, but imagination based on the resources that you have. Sometimes natural resources, sometimes of the manpower, budget, or anything that can make for the forest landscape restoration happen. Okay. And the second, to engage stakeholders to support participatory and governance. Of course, to do with the landscape restoration, you couldn't avoid that to or get rid of the people. People have that to be participatory into your program. Okay, how that you can make for implementation, how you can share for the benefit sharing, monitoring, review process. It's just like a cycle. So, stakeholder, you have to deal with the different of stakeholder. So it's not easy, but it's a very challenges when you do for the whole landscape, for the whole watershed area, for the people, ethnic group, until the people who live in the lowland and the people in the cities, how you can balance their benefit sharing. And then to restore multiple function and multiple benefit. As I already mentioned it, for forest landscape restoration, we will not focus on the timber that can be produced from the area, but we have to think about for ecological function that can be generated from your managed area. So, like from the headwater downstream that to the mouth of the river, how you can balance the benefit for the people that to over there. Okay. Because back to the principle that stakeholder participatory. So you have that to consider. Tailor the local context using a variety of approaches. So it means that the forest landscape restoration, you have that to apply a lot of measures and activities that to serve at the local social, cultural, economic, and ecology. So sometimes that you have to go down in depth into the root of the historical. Maybe if the area is you will manage is related into the historical site, they have the strong cultural. Okay, you have that to be included into your management plan. Okay. Maintain and enhance natural ecosystem with the landscape. When you do the forest landscape restoration, okay, then you have to think about which one is should be maintained, which one is should be enriched or to add more. But thinking about not to do any of the conversion or destruction to the natural resources. So actually, you shouldn't convert your natural resources into auto land use time. Okay. Just only that to increase more and more. Okay. This is principle. Okay. For my presentation, you can make a copy. Okay. Get it? Mainly adaptive for the long-term resilience. Okay, resilience in the landscape stakeholders, maybe into the intermediate or into the long run. Okay. one thing that we thinking about how we can enrich for the biodiversity. So enhanced species and genetic biodiversity that can be adjusted. So it means that sometimes that you have to do with the research. Some of the area that you will manage, maybe the change for the land use for a longer time. It means that biodiversity structure is also change. If you would like to retrieve it, maybe you have to do the research in the same area or the area is quite similar to the ecosystem, and then you bring the species composition back. That we already did in our project site in Bangkachao. Have you been to Bangkachao before? So you should go. Okay, it's not far from here. It's my project site. So you can, I will show that within the slide as well. You see that how we develop for that land restoration. We got the benchmark and we also got the comparative side using for that landscape restoration as a whole. Okay. So why we have to do the restoration? Because of course it's the rule of thumb, because the overall population increase, development of infrastructure. So of course they make a lot of fragmentation to the habitat side. Sometimes far away from each other, sometimes that how that we fill up the gap or make the linkage that we call the green corridor. Because if the ecosystem is fragmented, then will have a lot of impact to others of the composition within our ecosystem. When we say about the forest landscape restoration, sometimes that you may confused about some of technical terms. Then we have that to be aware of that one. When we say about the reforestation it means that action that return any kind of tree that to the deforested or the denuded area. Okay. So reforestation it means that we are not care. We can anything we can get the tree back, we grow it. Okay. We don't care about the function. We don't care about the ecosystem. We just want it to be returned to be the area that's full of the tree or something like that. That we call reforestation. Then forest restoration. So it means that we are thinking about ecological function. We actually relate the recovery of forest structure, ecosystem, and function. Okay. So it means that we are thinking about biodiversity. Then before we doing the project about forestry or forest plantation, we have that to define what kind of our objective to do for our program. If we want that to get only the tree, we'll do that forest deforestation. It's very easy. Find. But if you would like to do the forest restoration, it means you have to think about the function. If we would like to make it to retrieve it to be the same forest structure like in the past, we have to think about what kind of species that should be appear that within the area or should be included with the area. We should remove some of the alien species. Species not disappear for this ecosystem type, we will not be included. Okay. Then the goal of forest restoration, we would like to get biodiversity recovery, environmental protection. So it means we can do the passive protection or active intervention. Passive is just we let it go naturally. Okay, we just only to control. But active it maybe we have to go to make it like engagement planting. You do it. We are a planting site, planting technique, something like that to get the restoration. So, right now, don't be confused about the technical term of reforestation and forest restoration. Okay. The function that link achievement to the forest restoration. Okay. Then, of course, you have to combine the participatory of stakeholders. The increase of biodiversity, biomass, forest product, organic matter, anything that improves ecosystem, economic success. Okay. Because that you have to run the project with the participatory of the people to ensure that the party can get the benefit from your program. Then you have to balance the benefit that share to the people, like a value of the forest product, ecological service, or poverty reduction. Okay, this is the very challenge that you have to think about for when you do the program of the forest landscape restoration. Okay, where that should be appropriate. Okay, biodiversity quality is one of the most that's like a very expensive cost. For when you do the reforestation, wildlife conservation, environment protection, it will to serve everything. So it will be can be implemented under umbrella for the forest landscape restoration, right? That we already mentioned. And then forest restoration that can help to combine social and economic function as I already mentioned. So when you do planning, you have to think about it. Think it in your mind that you have to balance social, economic, and environment together. The framework for reforestation. So the rule of thumb is that planting a few carefully selected tree species, rapid growing, that can yield high biodiversity. Actually, that we have that to define that we call the framework species. Framework species means that 4 species that should be planted. Okay, maybe 20 to 30 of the indigenous tree species. We try that to state that when you do for the restoration, the first thing that you have to consider, you have to select the right species. Indigenous species should be concerned. That you should not bring the exotic species that never be found in the areas that to be planted here. But you have to think it out because it already shows that indigenous species can tolerate and grow within the area very well. Okay. Sometimes when comparing with the fast-growing wood species, okay, could not be competitive to the fast-growing wood species. But in the long term, they will yield more benefit than. And at the same time, when you do the forest restoration, we are thinking about that for the natural regeneration is one of the major measures that can help to do the regeneration. Then the tree species you planted over there that should attract the wild animals. That should be the carrier that can bring the seed and even the pollen that to spread it to make more of the natural regeneration at the adjacent, the gap, buffer zone, or anything. So it means that when you go for the forest landscape restoration, so thinking about for the human labor, at the same time you use the older wild animals that to help you for spreading. Okay. And at the same time, if you want that to get it in very quick of the retrieval of the ecosystem, then you have to find a way that to help the humid moisture litter that can create a favorable site for ecosystem recovery because you have to help them to speed up for recovery for in terms of ecosystem restoration. It doesn't mean that when you plant it, you just wait for the rainy season to come. It's not enough. Maybe you have to invest some of the irrigation system. Okay, because it's very intensive work and very costly. Then when you do it in your area back home, you have to think about you have enough resources to do. If not, you can do just only reforestation program. Okay. With the capacity and characteristic, sometimes that you have to find favorable site for the land high survival rate, not that, okay? So it means that when you find the 3 species to be planted, not only the indigenous species that you concern, but you have to think about the high survival rate as well. Okay, that to be rapid growth, then a spreading cloud means that they can go into the dominant cloud cover is very quickly. Provision of food that attract the cities for wildlife like this one. Okay, I will show it later on. The project we did in Bangladesh really successful by using the tiger like this one. As I already mentioned earlier, that tropical forest, one destroyed can never be recovered. Even the people will say, okay, it's temperate, in tropical zone, you can grow the trees that growing very quickly, but you can just only get the tree species back, but never get the ecosystem back. Okay, because one of the species that's more sensitive to the pollen dissolve and become extinct. No amount of habitat restoration can fix that. Even you try a lot, but because they're very sensitive. Sensitive means that sometimes they need a very specific ambient environment, like a fresh water, clean water, something like that. When it's that point, so it means that not easy to bring it back because you have to wait until the good environment they coming back. Forest restoration is really expensive and laborious. Cannot be guaranteed for the successful. Maybe you have to wait for 20 or 30 years until you see. Okay, thinking about that, if you have the enough of supportive budget, labor, you can do. Okay, and then this technique will not support. Let's try now. Let's go later. No way. Okay, thinking carefully. For the fragmentation, okay, you can see the elsewhere right now for the fragmentation because they impact a lot. Okay. If you go to the effect, okay, effect is mean that when the fragmentation is happening, they have some kind of the perimeter that very close to the starting of the perimeter of the fragmented area. Sometimes if it's at least 200 meters in depth, that it means that it can be recovered by natural regeneration. But if it larger or wider than the 200 meters, it will be a bigger problem for the regeneration because the wind could not bring the sea or even the dispersal of the wild animal could not help. Because sometimes, like the big highway, when separated the forested area out, it's not easy to maintain for the national regeneration. Because if mostly if the area is over 200 meters in width, so 20 of those species tropical forest unable to cross the gap. Okay, like now, even in some area, even a few meters, they also have the problem of some species couldn't live. Okay, we will talk it later on. Large animals disperse and land in transport between the forest fragments. Okay, restoring narrow forest region corridor. Okay, you can do by the planting more trees. Okay, that to connect it together. It's called a green corridor establishment. Okay, so for this restoration, we try to make the maximum biodiversity. Okay, attempt to create the much as possible of original diversity. So this is will be based on your research. Okay, when you wanted to do the forest landscape restoration, thinking about that, make the comparative. Maybe you go into the other side that have the very good structure and composition, and then just be to compare each of your side. Maybe you can start with a small size planting because it's very costly, as I already mentioned. It needs labor. Okay. Some kind of the species that you can get it genetically, you can find of some of the old settlement, maybe some of the temple that still maintains the variety of the local species. You can find from it and put it into your site. So this is to show you in Bakajao site. Mostly when we do it, that we walk into the whole area of 2,000 hectares. That to make the inventory first and bring the species and to make it for reforestation, restoration here. mostly the genetic species, genetic diversity should still be keeping in historical site, like in the temple or along the riverbank that you can get it. In terms of urban forestry, okay, the maximum diversity that I already mentioned, sometimes they use meiotic method by the planting more species and waiting until they can get the very good competitor and leave it to grow naturally. Okay. The most species should be represented by 20 to 33 per hectare, with the last 6 species, keystone species, and endangered, vulnerable, or less species. This is just the principle when you do it. This is for the urban forestry. Okay. The last 6 species should be very good in terms of growing, very tolerant to the hardship of environment. The keystone species, I will describe later on. Endangered species, vulnerable. It should be constant. Okay. This is just a little rule. Okay, this is another new technical term. I think that maybe hearing it before. The keystone species. Thinking about the keystone, when you do the arc like this one, and then you accumulate the stone, and the keystone is here. If you put out on collapse, so it means keystone is very important within the ecosystem. The keystone species play a critical role in maintaining structure of ecological community. So, without keystone species, ecosystem couldn't be different or maybe exit from the ecosystem of our day. So, you can learn more than from the authors of the literature. So they have a lot of that. Just to show you what the real meaning of keystone species. So in tropical area, keystone species, we are thinking about the species that can produce more food and attract a lot of the wild. One of the keystone species is the fig tree. That they have more than 1,000 species. Okay, provide for food for the forest animals. So, and can provide meal for the wasps from reproduction. Wasps can help for the pollination, like a flowering, and can convey the pollination that to make it some kind of the natural regeneration. We found that in Bangkachao site, when we grow more the fig tree, that we can attract a lot of bird species coming back. So when we start the project in the year of 2007, we found that we just only 70 species of bird. But after more than 15 years of continuous of the restoration, then like now it's more than 140 species. Mostly for the species that disappear for the area for a long time, like the insect feeding species is coming back. Okay. This is going to show the fig tree, and inside you can see the wasp. This one is very important for helping to make the natural regeneration. When you grow into the Bangkachao, if you get the fruit and then see it inside, you can see a lot of wasps. If it is gone, it means that some of the tree species could not survive within the area. Okay. So when we do it just only for the basic idea of the forest restoration, okay, or forest landscape restoration, then we would like to say that how we implement that into the broader of the, in terms of the regional. We have the many of international organizations to deal with the forest landscape restoration. One organization I'm now working with is that we call International Model Forest Network. International Model Forest Network right now we have more than 35 countries to be members, and their secretary office is based on in Ottawa of Canada. Okay, this one I would like to introduce you to be model college and the international model college network. I got the slide from Julian. The office of regional model college network Asia, not far from here. Only a few meters, you can walk it down. Okay, maybe Julian will talk to you later on. Just use his slide. For what is the model college? In the last scale of the landscape with many different land uses. So I already mentioned to you, right? What the real meaning of the landscape for this landscape restoration. Especially partnership, you can see that you couldn't avoid that influence the local and the partner that will help you manage for the area as a long term. It will be a long-term process that adheres to a process of principle to promote sustainability. So it's just only the broad idea of that. One is the landscape, another one is participatory, and another one is benefit sharing. So the model for the developed in Canada in the early of 1990 when the conflict between the indigenous people and the government of Canada. On that time, the Canadians tried to do some kind of export electric. Then they couldn't avoid the conflict with the local people there. Then the idea is how that they can sharing the benefit or balance the benefit of the local people coming. Then it's coming to be the international model for the network that is made in the years of 1992 to share the lesson learned from Canadians to other parts of the world. So international model for the network right now is the world's largest network dedicated to sustainable natural resource management at the landscape level. Right now, they have the 64 model projects across the world in 35 countries, covering more than 73 million hectares, starting from North America, Europe, Central and the Latin America, Africa, and Asia. So it's quite a very big international network so far. Okay. In terms of regional model for the network Asia, so we have the two in India, one in China, okay, one in Thailand, two in Indonesia, and one in Indonesia and two in the Philippines. Okay. Next week we will have the meeting in Bohol of Philippines. So I'm flying over there this coming Sunday. So this included a lot of variety of the land use. So each of the model college in regional model college network Asia is different in terms of the land utilization. So it's one of the good like an example of how we can manage the landscape for different purposes. Okay. The principle, partnership, landscape, commitment to sustainability, governance, program activity, knowledge sharing, capacity building, and networking. This is one that we show you how the principle of the model college. Okay. This is to show you the more productive model college in India. Okay. Okay, we start with the first one. The model college, the partnership. Okay. A common space for voluntary participatory. We will not force them to do. Everyone is coming to work with us. It's very voluntary basis to manage the whole landscape. Like a Balkila model college is located in the foothill of Himalaya in the north of India. So this area they manage for some kind of the replanting, reforestation within the area, and the people that using the natural energy, solar energy and stream energy, the water energy to produce the everything that is like. So it's quite a very beautiful landscape over there. The second one is the Kyoto model college. This morning we just got the meeting with them. Kyoto college is very interesting because it's just more area, but many of the partners, more than 100 partners. The partners coming from where? Industry, university, community, investor. Many, the big companies like Toyota, Mazda, they will join to working with this one. They produce a very good standing for the timber. They plan that to sell the timber in the future. But right now, this model forest is not big, but it's very well known for the outlet classroom for the people. The landscape, okay, multiple social, economic, and environment aspects within the shared landscape, like Markovitan model forest. So right now it is becoming to be a very popular site for the tourists in East Java of Indonesia. The Ngao model forest is multiple benefits. The people using the a lot of activity inside agriculture, protected area, economic forest plantation, and the bamboo. So and the selling the seed. I think that for these of your course, they will bring you to the Ngao model forest too. Excellent.
We're going tomorrow.
Tomorrow, good side. So the people over there, it's really beautiful this time. Weather is good. I went there 2 weeks ago. The commitment of sustainability, model forests are committed to the conservation and management of the forest landscape. Of course, in Lian model forest right now, they turn from the logging concession that to be the protected area for regularly water supply to the agricultural land, become to be our hotspot for the tourist festival. Kodagu model forest, in India, from Bangladesh and Kodagu is mostly they grow coffee, and they have a big problem with wild elephant conflict with the coffee. So they make a lot of destruction to the site, but they try to balance the way how the people live harmonize with the local, with the wildlife. So it's not the case. You can see it's a difference of style of the land use among the members. Makovita, the model college, that they use a lot of medical property that sell into the market. Okay, Makovita. Okay, governance. Okay, is the transparent, participatory, and accountable. The basic rule of the governance. Okay, now model college is one of outstanding that you will learn from. Ulot. Ulot is the one of in the area. So from Philippines, have you heard about that? Ulot. Yes. They turn from the illegal cutting to be the ecotourism site. Even the transportation in the old days, they used for carrying the illegal log. But right now, they use for carrying the passengers coming to do the ecotourism. Okay. We will have the meeting within the Ulot next week. Okay. Program of activities. So each model forest has the different utilization and the activity inside. So it depends on the need of the people and stakeholders. So like Lian, so mostly right now they go for agricultural crop. Okay. Kadun, they are another side in Philippines. So they use that manage for the watershed. Okay. They have a lot of downstream and upstream of activities over there. Knowledge sharing, capacity building, and networking. This is the heart of the regional model for the network. Okay, we do for the sharing. Different landscape maybe they have the different activity, but we can share it together. Okay. Lina, okay, model for that. Let's see. Okay, this is Mr. Sumai. You will meet him tomorrow. Okay, Mr. Sumai is the secretary of the association of now model for that. Okay. I've been wanted to be the chair of Model Forest Network Asia since the year of 2015 until now. So we are starting that to do a lot of activities since the years of 2016. So we started the knowledge that seeking the cooperation. So we have a lot of meeting within the area, and we hear from the voice of the people. And when we bring a lot of people from a person to make the study trip, like the Cambodian delegate. Okay, this one I went to Banfila in the 2018. Okay, just to make the investigation. Because on that time, Banfila is just applying to be a member of the regional model network. So consultative that because as the duty of the chair that you have that to extend the membership to others, then we went to Bhutan that to invite them that to join for the model for them. Right now, they already submit the application. Okay. They will be the members soon. Okay. This is the lovely of the view of Bhutan. Bhutan is a very beautiful country. If you have a chance, I recommend you to go. Very, very beautiful. Okay. And also, I went to Vietnam. Okay. That invited. Okay. Right now, Vietnam is nearly becoming our member. Okay. Just roughly about the Ngao model forest with the 1,700 square kilometers. Okay. There were different altitudes. Population is 88 community with nearly 60,000 people over there now. Okay. So we see more. Ngao is the site for the good quality of the teak. They have the teak research center over there. The best quality of the teak is located over there. Out of Myanmar and then Thailand. Okay. If you have the chance to go to Myanmar, you see a big stand of teak. In the old days, people say that you walk across the area for 3 days. You could not go out of the teak area because really big. Okay. You can see that this is location for the Ngao model forest. Nearly 1,800 square kilometers, included for the residential area. This is one watershed area. Okay, the largest area, including of the 2 national parks, 1 wildlife sanctuary. Okay, now what is generating source of income, supply to the people, the supply to the people, who become with the policy. Okay, so the goal of them to enhance biodiversity, bring clean water. So you can see that activities, the first one is just the water. Just the water because water is the life. You will see that why they have that to build more than 1,000 small check dams because already proved that they can maintain a lot of moisture within the area. When you have the moisture, you can grow all the other trees. Okay. Okay, this is another activity for the fire. Maybe you have a chance to set up the fire blade over there. One of the activities. Okay, small check dam like this. Okay, right now it says that after the rocking plantation, the water supply is not regular. It's not regular for many years until they start to do water check dam. Right now, water flow can be supplied for the whole year. Okay, ecotourism becoming very popular now. With the Tham Thai National Park, maybe you can stop by over there to see. They have a very beautiful waterfall and a big cave, very beautiful. Okay. We started the years of digital model for the network in the years 2016, when the area just transferred from Department of National Park to the Royal Forest Department. Then I started to organize for that. Okay. We have a sharing with the others model forest. Kyoto model forest is coming to visit us, Dr. Chibata. And this one from Vietnam. Okay, just coming to visit us. Okay, to show you how that's very fruitful when that you do the conserving for the whole area for a longer time. Okay. We even that to make more of the sharing the knowledge with others. This is from the North Korea. Okay. We have a very good relationship. Thailand have a very good relationship with the North Korea. So we do training the people over there. Out of China, Japanese Thailand that have a very good relationship with North Korea in terms of capacity building, not for the Japanese capacity building program. They send a lot of the people that to do the training in Thailand. They're very nice people. Very nice. Also, study visit from the Poland, Bolika or something like that, I'm not sure. Really, they like. They're just coming to visit us on that time. They're really funny. Group. They represent the North European model. Okay. So when I joined the World Quality Congress in the year 2020 Korea, so we met this is from Costa Rica Model Forest, they're from Brazil, they're from Mediterranean. Then on that time we sat together and sitting and discussing because on that time we separated for the meeting. Latin America they have their own meeting, or we call the annual meeting. So we said that why we don't share the idea globally. Then we discuss with the Canadian Forest Service until they approve. We will have the first global model forest meeting in Canada, in Vancouver, in this coming May. So it is the first time all the model forests across the world will go there with more than 500 plus land. It's sponsored by the Canadian Forest. Okay. Then we just touch a little bit that how the situation of the forest landscape restoration in Thailand. So this is just for the background. Basically, with the policy is one of the backbone of when you wanted to do anything. You have to get a clean line from your decision maker, the policy maker. Policy about the forest landscape restoration and some kind of we call the natural resources management coming from the national economic and social development plan. We start in the years of 1961 in the 5-year plan. On that time, from the first plan to the fourth plan, we focus on how we can speed up our economy at Thailand. We starting to clear a lot of forested areas to build more accommodation, facility, infrastructure a lot. So at that time, we lost very quickly of the forested area from over 50% down to less than 40% of forest over the country because we just got the top-down policy. Okay, but like until the fifth plan, so when they're starting to think about that, they call the word summit. The technical term of sustainable development is coming from Leo, the January meeting. We call the word summit. Then we are thinking about how to balance this development. And the National Economic and Social Development Plan have to adjust the way of thinking to bring more natural resources into the planning. So, and after that, integrate cluster environment coming into the city. Until the 8th plan, we're starting to think about how we move economy at the center of development to be the human resource, to be the center of development. Then we're starting to how to balance the sustainable development. We think about that we're starting that gradually that to turn from the top down to be the bottom up. Right now we can say that we still maintain the way of formulating national economic and development plans that to be the bottom line. Right now, in every year before the starting of the new development plan, they have a lot of public hearing forum that people have to share their view on our national development plan. Okay. The driver and the cause of the forest deterioration in Thailand starting from year 1961, the first of our development plan, national development plan, that timber been cutting off a lot of that to say. When I was young, so it's quite common that the most the most quantity of our export product. The first one, timber. Second, rice. That's what young around 50 years ago. Okay. But right now, we are thinking about it. We have the logging concession ban in the years of 1989 because that they have the tragedies about the landslide kill a lot of people in the 1989. Then the government stopped that to do the logging concession and then started to promote the cooperative forestry. And coming into the multiple benefit program, and right now, climate change is coming to the integrated part of our development program. This is the development of the policy making in Thailand in terms of natural resources. Okay. From the national strategic plan that we have 20-year plan from the 2018-2037, we set up for 55% of the green cover. Maybe you can hear that some people saying we want to get 40% of the forest cover. That's the national forest policy. National forest policy. But here we call national green policy. Okay, different. Because green policy is that means we focus on the tree. Maybe any tree, like cash crop or anything that we can be counted. Okay. And then we include that into the urban plan here. So national forest we will maintain at 25%. So in the national park, wildlife sanctuary, right now we have the 1 million hectare. It nearly achieved 25%. We have 24% already for the protected area. But economic forest, we focus 15%. Right now, we achieve only 11%. We need 4% to achieve 3.01 million hectare in total. And the 5% will be the clean area. Any in the park, backyard, tree that will be composed to be 0.48 million hectare. That we would like to achieve in the years 2020. The national 20-year strategic plan for the clean area cover of the country, not national forest policy. People always say, why you have that to define 40%? What the number you get from? Okay. Why 41%? Why all 38%? Because it's coming from after the Second World War, the forest food and agricultural organizations, they send the expert coming to Thailand. The Dutchman that they calculated that. Because Thailand is the agricultural-based country. If you want to maintain agriculture, you have to got the regular flow of water supply. And they calculate that if you want to get the water supply throughout the year, you have to get the forest cover for at least 40%. That many people, even the forest, don't know about. People always say, we want to get 40% of the forest cover. But why 40%? Then you know it now. It's coming from the calculation of the expert from Netherlands. If Thailand would like to maintain the water flow, to maintain agricultural sector, then you have to get the forest cover at least 40%. Okay. Recently, Thailand implemented a program we call the BCT, Bioeconomic Economy, Circular Economy, and Green Economy. The BCT model is a national agenda. Why we call about BCT? Because BCT will be implemented in all sectors, including for the forestry sector. When we want to do any of the local forest land restoration, BCT should be implemented within this program as well. Bioeconomy involves the production of renewable biological resources and conversion of the resource into value-added product. Okay. Circular economy aim to reusing the recycling resource, and green economy to keep a forest society environment in balance. We implemented the BCG within the community forestry program. Okay. We will tell you in detail. Okay. Why we have that to think about bioeconomy? Because in Thailand, in old days, starting for the first plan of development, the years of 1961, we focus on the development. Okay, development last for over 30 years. Developed that time to make the people, the country civilization. Then we call the Thailand 1.0. Okay, we focus on the agricultural sector. They grow a lot of cash crop. On that time, we grow a lot of cassava, sugarcane, maize. They destroy a lot of the forest cover. They have the corn belt across from the western that go to Myanmar border and connected to the Laos PDR border from the west to the east side of Thailand. Very big area. We lost forest cover that time very quickly. Then we call it 1.0 focus on agriculture. And then we started to approach into the Thailand 0.2. When we think about that, okay, agriculture should not be the answer of the country. Then they started to develop the light industry. We invite a lot of industrial investors that coming to the country at that time, the textile companies that come in, but they got a lot of pollution at that time. Okay. They last for 1960 to 1987, and starting from 1987, okay, we are trying to change the way of thinking to be the heavy industry. A lot of the automobile companies coming to do investment in Thailand. So because we want to be the fifth tiger of Asia, following the Japanese, the Chinese, the Korean, and Taiwan, and then Thailand. So we hope at that time, but we never achieved, unfortunately. But on that time, for the heavy industry, also make a lot of something like pollution into our country. Then we have to think again that to make value-based economy. Okay. Right now we call Thailand 4.0. Okay, when we talk about what the aim of Thailand right now, we are under era that we call 4.0. We try to make the value-based economy. Start up, the new of value added, the investment is coming. So it's just lovely that you show the way of thinking that may, in terms of impact, to be the part of the our politics sector. Okay. Community forestry is right now to be the name of the forest landscape restoration. In Thailand, that we have the three departments. The first one, the Royal Forest Department, we take care for the natural resource forest. It's more than 7 million hectares. Okay, in total right now that we have to take care. No, 70, not 70 million hectares. Okay. And the other one is will be Department of National Park, they take care for the protected area. And Marine and Coastal Department, okay, they take care for the mangrove. Then, right now, we focus to achieve in the year of 2027 with the 15,000 community. Right now, we achieved that 12,000 community with the cover more than 1 million hectares. So the community forest in Thailand is different from the community forest in Philippines. In other part of the country, because in many countries in Southeast Asia, except Malaysia and Singapore, so they focus on rely their livelihood on the collecting the product from the community forest. But in Thailand, with just less than 25% of people depending their livelihood on the product from forest, they keep it for the conservation model. Then we have to change the way of managing the area as a whole in terms of the community forest. Like now we can see more than 12,000 in 60 provinces. That's small one, the largest one. Like now, the program of the carbon credit company that to do the investment in many community forests across the country. Okay. And in terms of the natural reserve forest, they have a lot of the degradation. The government tries to minimize the conflict between the local people and the government. Then they set up the idea that to sign agreement with the local people, not individually, but in terms of community. So we sign agreement with the community that to plant the tree less than 25%, no less than 25% at the species. It means that when the community they can manage it by themselves, they allow with the A, with the B, with the C that to do the agriculture. But with the agricultural part, at least 20% of your product that you have to grow the tree, okay, economic tree or any conservation tree. We implement that for nearly 10 years already. Okay. The program we call cultivating arable land for completing the government policy. Because we have the two manage the landscape as a whole, but we have to combine the benefit for the local people as well. Then the people can grow their cash crop, and at the same time they have to maintain environment. Right now we yield more than 60,000 hectares to the local people across the country. And also we use the technology to detect how it grows. So we use the Pickup Line is application on the mobile phone. People can inform the officer directly when you just accidentally to see that for the illegal cutting or anything. People can go into their mobile phone application and then send the location to the officer directly. They have the 24 hours for the volume operation rooms to detect it. We use E3. Everyone that would like to go to tree for economic purpose, they can register online or even in your mobile phone. Okay. E3 that can be a very good database for the investor. They want to see that for the stock of or the volume of the tree. Right now, they have more than 300 million trees already registered within the E3 program. The simple is one kind of satellite images that you can download and see within the area. The IMFN-KUFF program, so we encourage for the local community that they manage for some kind of the community forest. Some community forest is very close to neighboring countries. They have a lot of problems, illegal coming across the border. Then we put the camera. Then they help to save the labors of the people to do the patrolling. Some of the community we give them the technology like the drone that they can do the patrolling by using the drone. Okay. We set up two sides of the encap the camera along the Cambodian border and the Myanmar border, just to help the community. Okay. So they can to show you exactly the camera can see the people who approach illegally into the forested area. Okay. The scheme, the solution, they have the group. We classify for the people that living in the headwater and the downstream water. Then we just group it into the two groups. Okay. So the first group is in a very sensitive area. We are allowed to do very limited activity. Maybe just a little standard like growing some of the cash crop will not make any impact to environmental or the headwater as a whole. And the second group that you can do freely, but under the condition like you have to plant more trees within your farmland. Okay. Then we move to another aspect of the forest restoration. The first that we do is in the forested area, but within the urban area that you can do as well in the city biodiversity. Okay. It's a little bit complicated, but we just only use the basically of the way for the biodiversity. Okay, genetic diversity, species diversity, habitat and landscape diversity. You can do it even in the urban area. Okay. So for like this one, urban planting that to maintain wetland quality like now, like in Singapore. Okay. People do it along the riverbank, river waterway like this one. Okay, this is to show you the benefit you will get from the urban landscape restoration. You got the ecosystem services. Okay, when you grow a tree like this one, okay, just got the reduce the sound, reduce the pollution from the sound of the hearing, the stress food, and make every community of beautiful into the area. Okay. Thinking about it, you indifferent of the circumstance in terms of the managing the urban area. Some of the area that you have to maintain the specific of the objective, like the food in the small island like this one, in Kiribati, very small. Then you have to think about that to grow some kind of edible species that within your area, not just thinking about to plant a flowering tree. Okay. Further to the livestock, some kind of beneficial from the urban forest. Okay. Even for the disaster prevention in Beijing right now, if you go into China, many cities in China they grow really tree because they got the some experience from the big earthquake in the years of 1976 when the big earthquake they cut down the trees to make the shelter for the people who have the homeless for that time. So right now, when they grow tree, they grow in narrow because they got experience from the big earthquake. So the source of the fiber and the product, the mostly in the island country, in the Pacific Island. Okay. In Singapore, they can have a very good benefit from beautification like this one, attract a lot of tourist idea. When you think about that, you want to see the tulip, the first thing that come up into your mind that you have to go to Netherlands. Right? It's just like a symbol of the area. Okay. Landscape enhancement for something like a merit or the council in Cambodia, in Thailand. You can see a lot of the colorful river. Yeah, when you go outside. Okay. The big trees that can help that to enhance that. Urban park, there's children that have the playground, the recreation, education value. Okay. So you can see that even that you manage for landscape restoration in urban area, that you can combine a lot of needs of the people. Straightforward that they have a lot of study to show that how the tree and the green area can help to reduce the stress in the daily life. Okay. And you can see that the people will say that when you move to have the meeting in the room to under the shade tree, that it says that they can reduce the conclusion of the meeting by half. If you spend 1 hour in the room like this one, maybe 20 minutes, you got the conclusion. You can stop the meeting. So maybe you can try next time. You can learn outside the classroom. Okay. A sense of well-being. A lot of the investigation now say that recovery from the pattern after operation that is quicker if you stay in the room like this one, not this one. Okay. For the human health state recovery, they are coming to be a very popular forest therapy. Have you heard about the technical word is like this before? Forest bathing. It's coming from the Japanese way. The Japanese people will have a lot of stress with daily life. Then they always go into the quiet of the forested area. They have some kind of like hormone delivered from the tree that can help you to reduce your stress. Okay. For the childhood, the brain and mental health, people say that if your children are going regularly to the green area, they touch, they hug, they treat regularly, they can help the mental, in terms of mental and brain development. So improving IQ, support sleep duration and quality. Okay. Dawood both the foreign therapy could mitigate the physical, psychological, and cognitive. Right now, it's becoming to be a very popular. In law for the department, we already set one section responsible for the forest bathing only. In another services we can get from forest. Okay. For the gender, it says that women always get the longer time touch to the nature than men. Maybe ladies that have the strong sense in terms of conservation than men. Okay. There will be a habitat for wildlife. Okay. Like now, architecture has defined a new style of environment that can attract more the wild animal that to live harmoniously, but should not include some snake like generally some kind of animal like bird. Okay. Heat island effect. Okay, in the daytime, so the temperature is very high. In Bangladesh, we already measure the temperature in the daytime. So Bangladesh is allowed 3 degrees lower than in the city. Okay, you will feel some kind of the comfortable ambient weather over there. Okay, just to show you just how we got the heat island effect from the absorption and reflection of the structure. Okay. In the Chinese, it claims that right now, more than 34 million trees that planted in Nanjing city. If you have a chance to go to Nanjing, you see a big tree like this. They can purify, helping to cooler the city. They say that the huge economic return in terms of you get more than million of trees. So it says that for more than 30 years, they plan for more than 23 per city people that they can along the street side. Like now, it's becoming a very clean area. Okay. To show you the power that it can both make the design of the new structure. Okay. So in South Asia, in India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, that when you go along the way. So this is the location for a small investor coming here to set up a long street like this under the shading of the tree. Yeah. Yes, I will show you just only to give you an idea that when you design the managing of the forested area as a whole, you have to thinking about the benefit that going into the local people. Yeah. Of course, in some countries, okay, in Mexico City, in Kathmandu of Nepal, that you encounter a lot of the pollution problem. Then the capital iron steel population in Beijing starts in the years of 1991, and then devoted the areas that to be clean near nearly 1 million square meters, and plant more flower to get the list of the beautiful area, provide working space condition, people that getting enjoyment. And it says that output increased by 2.37 times. I think it is quite very impressive and for environment and help to increase the production. Okay. That is one that is basic. Okay. Biophilic cities that when you design the area, the new challenge of the architecture that to design the green into the city, okay, like this one. The infrastructure in Singapore. Okay. In Singapore, so right now, they have the 80 kilometer for the nature way, skyline, community garden. Because when Singapore starting that to set up their own country, the first thing they said that they will build the garden in the city. So after that, like now, they change their idea to be city in the garden, and they quite successful in terms of increase the investor, can attract a lot of investors coming country. They just show you that condition, circumstance, and good conditions can attract the more people that to stay in Singapore. So like this, it's just very peaceful connectivity. That they even they're thinking about that to make the bridge that make the green corridor as I mentioned. Okay. Some kind of the green loop structure, the commercial area. Okay. In Bangkok, we started to do for the green corridor, starting that to get some kind of that thinking how to release the tree together for the animal can move freely and connectedly, starting from the tourist site near the Royal Gas. Okay. The way that you do is that you have to really quick look when you do it. No need that to do any complicated things. You just sit in the car and then count the tree. We call the windshield technique. So just along one tree, you start that to okay. If you think it's too much of too many of the one species, and if the tree is not diverse or it's just connected together, then you can plant. There are many easy ways that you can do. Okay. And we set up the forest park in Thailand, urban forest park. And okay, we will go to another example. I recommend, if you have time, this one in Bangkok, we are starting to propose to be another model forest of Thailand. We have the Ngao model forest, and then we will have the Bangkok model forest. Bangkok is the city landscape. Okay, city landscape. Then you should go just for 30 minutes. You can go by the metro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then after in the area that you enjoy for cycling. Okay, show you. Okay, this is Bangkok. And Bangkok is surrounded. Okay. You can see Bangkok is around here. And this is Bangkok, just like small island, 2,000 hectares, with population over 20,000. Okay. In the years of 2006, the Time magazine, the proposed area is that to be the best urban oasis of area. It's just like the oasis, like under the brown space of Bangkok. Okay. So going there is very easy. Okay, like now. Here, more than 70% is people with the tree. Okay, the big project site over there. Okay, this is the Nakhon Park, where the headquarters dominates belong to Royal Forest Thailand. And then you can see Bangkok skyline. Okay, we're starting that to do the forest restoration in the years of 2007. We started to collect a lot of local species and then to plant into the nursery. Right now, we can collect more than 110 species for the local. To use it as an institute, as a program for, and the institute as well, that in terms of the planting, the garden. The last species like this is introduced that based on the research. So we also that provide the youth group, train them to make the sense of ownership in the area and to know their own of the resources. Okay. We invite a lot of the people from business company to do the social, corporate social responsibilities and to plant the tree. We can say that right now, more than 70% of the budget spending with the area coming from the corporate responsibility of the private sector. We can reduce the use of the government budget. Okay. It's becoming a very good site for the planting every day, especially for the local school and international school for Bangkok. Okay. For the local school, they have the big outdoor classroom for them. And then we develop the cycling route that the people can enjoy because it's full of the historical sites. People will be living there for more than time. A lot of the old temples, old settlements. Okay. We also use the social media to invite the people to come to join us for the investigation of biodiversity. We call the biodiversity. We did it for 24 hours. Okay. Volunteer experts that coming to to make investigation in the different part of the biodiversity investigation. So you can see 24 hours like this. They can get a lot of things that coming from the volunteer. Okay. Before we doing the planting, we have to make the light based on the quality discipline. Okay. Before we grow any tree, we have to think about the gap, the cloud cover gap that can help the light going down, and then we can decide what will be the dominant species, what will be the middle level species, what's the cloud. We have the comparative of the lowland area because the area of the submerged by the water of the tidal because it's very close to the sea. Then the tidal is submerged the water, submerged the areas that for a certain time. Then we can decide the right species to be planted. Okay. We reintroduced a lot of species. This one is the Dipterocarp species. We started to do it. We planted more than 20,000 seedlings of Dipterocarp species already. Okay. And then we still maintain the livelihood of the people. So the agricultural style and the practice, we use that labor. Even the labor rate is very high, but we still maintain the way of the conserving. After we conserving for ecosystem for a longer time, at the first year 2007, we started to do the biodiversity investigation. We found 3 biofly species. Biofly species is the indicator for the good development because biofly they need during the lava season, they need the very clean water that to nurture themselves. If the water is not clean, they disappear. Okay. After we continue to make a conservation for over 50 years, right now we found totally 5 species. With 2 species is a new world record. Okay. In the old days, people would like that. 10 years ago, when the people would like to see the firefly in the night time, they had to go down south Bangkok, driving for more than 1 hour to see along the river. But right now, in Bangkok, we have a lot. You can walk in the night time. You can find a firefly really easily. Okay. Even we always, so we have the contact with this, some kind of the TV program. For example, after they announced of the winner of the beauty competition, Thailand beauty competition, the following day, the winner coming to plant a tree, to promote the site. Actually, wedding, pre-wedding photos, is coming to take a lot of photos. I think it's very popular. I would like to encourage you to do the right thing. If you keen enough, you can do the cycling for the whole area. Take 15 hours. For the short route, 10 hours, 3 hours. It depends on you. And it's very beautiful going into community. For the record, we have more than 10,000 visitors a month for the foreigner going to do the cycling within the area. Okay. And the local teachers like this one, you can join. Mango is very specific. Over there, mango or coconut, because the impact by salt water, the taste is very good. So this is the light time. That's mango. Okay. And then develop to be the community-based ecotourism. This is produced from the ingredient that from the local knowledge. They become very popular. That is what they call Bangladesh that they would you can enjoy for the massage. Okay. And the natural diet using the fruit from Nipata. Okay. Another one is that also the landscaping, not only for the livelihood improvement, but prevent for disaster. Coastal erosion is another of this. Okay. So you can see the Bangkok and some of the neighbor provinces that they have the island that very close to the coastal. They got the impact from the coastal erosion. So this is Bangkok. Bangkok has a 5-kilometer range that closer to the sea. And you can see that in the year of 1966, okay, the land up to here. Okay, but right now, it's lost for the coastal erosion. For up to, I think that 300 style. That's a lot to the erosion. See, from the strong wind, like this one. Government tried to solve the problem, build up the concrete dike, but because the strength of the wave, the sea wave is very strong, even the remaining of the mangrove that could stand uprooting many times. Okay. After we spend $1 million to try to stop the sea portal using the concrete dike, the sandbag, but if not effective, then we went back to consult with the local. Okay, how we could solve the problem. Then the local people recommended that when you make the concrete dike or the sandbag, when the strong waves are coming to hit, then it return back with the very strong as well. And then they're starting gradually to destroy the dike because they have no pitch that allow the sea water going. Comparing that to the old day, they use the fence made by the bamboo, like this one. Then we started to use the local knowledge. Okay, you can see that when the sea wave is coming to the bamboo side, okay, the waters can penetrate to the pitch, and there are some kind of hole that along the pole of the bamboo, so it can reduce the strength of the wave. Okay, and then you can see that after the first year, this is only the first year, so the siltation starting to accumulate. Okay, and then they started to grow more of the bamboo fence using the volunteer people. We found that the budget spending on the bamboo fence is 10 times cheaper than using the concrete dike. And then in the last 4 or 5 years, that we starting to change the bamboo pole. So to show you the model, when we start for the bamboo barrier, the fence here, first year, then first year you can get the first accumulated of the siltation. Then the second year, then when the siltation is accumulated enough, you started to grow the mangrove species. Okay. And then the third year, got more, fourth year, and the fifth year, get more of the process stand, and then it's a soft tree. Then you start the second row. Okay, repeatedly. Mostly we do just only for 3 barrier at enough, then we can gain it back. Okay. Yeah. We use a volunteer. And right now, you can see that after 5 years, the area that formerly getting destruction by the sea wave, the seashore is gone on that time, but right now we recover it back. So these are people from the South Pacific countries coming there to make their observation. Okay. And then we found that not only for the siltation is coming back, but many kind of the species coming back as well. The dolphin disappear for a long time. It's even the blue whales that coming. Right now it's becoming the really good hotspot for the people in Bangkok going there to see the blue whale. Okay. Okay, coming back to the last, maybe the last slide. Looking into the future of forest management of Thailand. Okay, long-term thinking should be required as a trend for forestry, but it must be planned, indicated. Thinking right now when you do the forest landscape restoration, it should not be just only the short planning. 5 years not enough. You have to plan for the next 15 years, 30 years. What it will be look like. So the long-term thinking, long-term perspective to tell the decision making. Allocate limited resources wisely before investment. Because forest landscape restoration, you have to invest a lot of money and the labor. You have to think carefully, wisely. Forest is part of the wider landscape. Changing policy can affect all the sector, become water, energy, and economy, social. Of course, when you do for forest landscape restoration, they impact a lot of people, the partner. That's why I always say that participatory of the party as stakeholder is very important in terms of the policy management plan. Okay. If you do visit up as usual, you just leave it go like that today. Everything will be the same. Deforestation is still continue. Okay. If you get some of aspiration from achieving some kind of sustainable development goal, agreement on the climate change, plus political declaration, it should be helpful in terms of stimulating the idea that it need for the action to do the forest landscape restoration. Or if you want that to get until some of this factor come, like we call the disruption, the shock will be happening, like when you get the sum of the natural disaster from tornado, from typhoon, from everything, and you make it, you will lose something like getting some economic crisis. So this is the way that we give you for the homework of thinking. If you do it, this is as usual, get your inspiration, something, and waiting until some of the disaster. Okay, you have the choice what to do. Okay. And quality led to the country towards sustainability. If you put more effort achieving good forest and landscape governance and all you do, okay, you can make the to reduce the conflict in terms of management mechanism as a long term. The build resilience in forest landscape people. Okay, coping with the climate change, shock and uncertainty you can do. Commit sufficiently resource, technology and effort to make sustainable forest. Okay, it's the duty of you to do it now. Okay, that's all of my talk today.